Hello, everybody. My name is Katie, and I would like to share my brother's story. My brother Kyler Mandrell, about how he passed away and about what has gone on since he's passed. Family and friends, I understand if you don't want to hear the story again, if you've already heard it. I will post up at the top when I post the video of where to skip through to see everything else that's happened. Viewers, please be advised about the graphics of the details within the story. There could be a trigger warning for you. So, on October 15th, 2022, it was my brother's 26th birthday. Him, my mom, and I had made plans to hang out that day. So, mom had went shopping that morning at Costco for food for her job. Him and I stayed back. Since we stayed back, I had asked him to do an oil change for me on my car. And I had taken out some money for him, $200. 80 of that was to go towards his son's daycare that following week. So he used part of that to go get it. So it's $30, $40. So he came back, did the oil change, and then we smoked while we waited for our mom to get back. Once mom got back, we went and dropped off the supplies to her office, and we went shopping on that side of town. We didn't get the chance to really hang out like that as a family just due to work and everything. And I can remember the whole time we was in the store, I was looking for him because I couldn't find him. It was weird. It felt off. So later that day, we spent the majority of the day with him. Later that day, it was about 5 o'clock, and mom had went out to dinner with some coworkers. He had ran off to go do something with one of his friends. And then he came back probably around 7 with our friend Jay. And him and I were both getting ready to go out. So he called me out to come smoke with them before he left. Went out, smoked, talked, said I love you. And then 7:30 came around and he said he had to go. So that was the last time I saw him. The original plans for his birthday was that him, Jay's girlfriend, and a young lady named Rahmani Shabazz that he had been talking to for about a month were all supposed to get a cabin and take some psychedelics, mushrooms. But Jay ended up having something come up, so the plans changed. My brother earlier in the day had told my mom that he was going to go out and go camping by himself, but Rahmani had surprised him with getting him a hotel room. And he had also told my mom that he didn't want to be around her that day, didn't want to be with her that day, but he was like, fuck it, I ain't got no plans, might as well. So he left, went and got them food, and then went to the hotel to meet up with her. When he got to the hotel, they ended up taking the psychedelics, and he had taken an excessive amount, more than what he was used to. This was something he had taken before, but he had taken an excessive amount this time, 3 times the normal dose that he would. They ate food, and then he called Jay to come smoke with him, come check up on him. So Jay said when he got there, my brother looked like he was really winded, like he was looking like he couldn't breathe. He kept putting his hands down on his knees and going down into the little basketball stance. And he told Jay he felt like he couldn't breathe. Jay told him, hey, dude, get up. You're fine. You're good. Stand up and take some deep breaths in. You're good. So he did that, and then he seemed like he was okay. He then asked Jay, yo, am I good? And Jay's thinking that the high is starting to kick in. He's getting a little paranoid. He's outside. He's like, yeah, man, you're good. You're all right. You're safe. I'm here. I got you. He then asked him again, are you sure I'm good? And Jay was like, yeah, man, you're about to go upstairs, about to go have a good time, about to get a massage. You're fine. You're good, dude. So he then looked at Rahmani and said, okay, it's time for you guys to go upstairs. It's about to set in. Y'all don't want to be outside for that. Take my number and call me if you need me. If he gets to be too much, just call me and I'll come and I'll take him home. So everything beyond this point is coming from Rahmani. So they went upstairs, and he took off his shoes, he took off his shirt, and went out into the lobby. Then she went out to go get him, or went out to the hallway. She went out to go get him, and she ended up locking them out of the room. So they had to go downstairs and get a new key. So when they went downstairs to get the key, the person that was at the front desk asked them, "Do you need me to call somebody?" And she said no. My thing is, it's a guest in your hotel, and you are looking at them and think that they may need some help, they may need some type of medical assistance or whatever. You should have called somebody either way. If you had the thought to even ask, you should have just called somebody. That's my thing. So they go back upstairs, and he takes off his pants and says, "I'm really hot. I want to take a shower, a cold shower." Anybody who knows my brother knows that a cold shower is his go-to thing to sober up. He feels like he's too high, too drunk, whatever. Sober up, get me into a cold shower. She decided not to let him do that because it was a glass shower. She didn't want him to accidentally break it, and she didn't want him to see himself in the mirror. I can understand that to an extent. However, that's one thing that somebody's asking for. You should probably let them do that. She ended up convincing him to go and lay down with her in the bed and cuddle. And she said he started talking about, "My sister's name is Katie. My mom's name is Katisha. My stepdad's name is Chris. And I really, really want to go see Junior," which was his son. She said that he started drifting off to sleep. And then he had woke up, he threw up a little bit, and he had rolled over and spit a little bit of it in her face and rolled back over and started going back to sleep again. She said she didn't hold it against him, that she just wiped it off and then went back to cuddling him. She then said that he popped up, his eyes got really wide, he jumped up and stood up on the bed and said, "I'm gonna jump out this window." She said she tried to grab his leg and stop him, but she said she felt like if she was to hold on to him, she was gonna go out the window with him. She said he then leaped out the window, and he ended up falling 4 stories onto a gravel rooftop. She had called Jay, and he got there before the paramedics did, and he called me probably about 12:45, 1 o'clock, and he said Kyler fell out of a window. And I was like, "What you mean he fell out of a window?" So I got another call probably about 25, 35 minutes later telling me to just go straight to the hospital. So I go to the hospital. I get there probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, meet with my mom, go to the room. We're sitting there just waiting. We see probably about 10 doctors, nurses standing outside this room. They're all trying to shoo us away from the door. Somebody finally comes over and is like, "A doctor will be out with you shortly." At that time, the nurse from the front had came to get me because somebody was there for us. It ended up being Jay's girlfriend. So as her and I are walking back to the room, the doctor had came in and was talking to my mom. I saw that look on her face, and I knew right there he was gone. So I pounded on the door, and I was like, "Please, please, I'm his sister." He opened the door, and I was like, "What happened?" And he said, "The injuries were pretty severe. I'm sorry, but he did not succumb from his injuries." We went in to identify his body, and, we were in there for about 10, 15 minutes. And, I'm just looking at him. We ended up touching him, and his body was ice cold, like he had already been gone for a few hours prior. My mom swears when she went to go grab his hand that she felt his watch on him. So I had called Henrico doctors multiple times trying to find this watch, and they never found it. They said it wasn't on him. They looked through the morgue, the security office, everywhere. They never found this watch. So the next day, we had went to go get his stuff from the hotel. And we were told by Detective C, who is the lead detective on my brother's case, that his phone would be in the room. His phone was not in the room. They ended up taking his phone to see if they could find a supplier in there, because even though Rahmani admitted to supplying the narcotics, she had also told them that he had supplied them before. So he came and gave us the phone back like 3 days later. And when he came back to give us the phone, I had asked him if he would have the glass tested for durability. And at that time, he had told us that they ruled the case as an accident. They were going to rule the case as an accident, is what we were told, 3 days after he passed away. So probably about a month later, like I said, we'd been calling back and forth to the hospital, trying to find the watch. He sat at Henrico Doctor's Hospital for about 2 weeks while we were waiting for them to call us to let us know that he was ready for pickup. We had made arrangements with a cremation place. We were just waiting for their call. They finally called us like a week and a half later, like, hey, are you guys ready to come and get him? And we're like, we've been waiting for you guys to call us, but yeah. So they went and got him, and he was cremated, picked him up about a week and a half later. About a month after everything happened, I called Detective C asking for any updates, asking about the tox report. He said that when the tox report came in, he would give us a call, and that there was no further updates because they had ruled it as an accident. Called him the next month, the same thing. So when 3 comes around, me and my mom both being tired of just getting the same answer, we started doing some digging. We started calling around. I probably called about 15 to 20 lawyers, and one finally told me that Virginia is one of 4 states who has a law that says if there is a 5% chance of self-infliction, they would not take the case. So at this point, I'm pretty fed up with getting the same answers from Detective C. So I had called to talk to a sergeant about the discomfort of what we were feeling within the case, the involvement in the case. And the sergeant goes to tell me that when they get the toxicology report, they'll let us know that it's been backed up for about 8 to 9 months. I had then asked him about the watch, and he said that they would view body cam footage and get back to me about it, see if they found it, if he had it on him that night. I had asked him, we were going over small details of the story, and he used a completely different word than leap. I can't remember what that word was, but it was not leap. He had also told me that when my brother went out into the hallway originally, he was naked. I was told he had clothes on. And we were also told that when he went out of the window, he was naked, but then it was later told that he was in his underwear. So I had then asked him about the glass, if it got tested or not, and he didn't even know what I was talking about. I told him that was literally the only thing that I had ever asked Detective C to do, was to test this glass for the durability. Because I don't understand how a 6'2", 200-plus pound man can stand up on a bed and jump out of a window a foot away from it. I don't see how that's possible. He then goes to tell me that he will look into it, but that's not something that the forensics team tests for, and that if I wanted to, I could open a civil lawsuit against the hotel. So you're telling me in an open investigation, the one thing that the family has asked to be done couldn't be done because that's not something that your forensics team does? I would think in an investigation, any type of anything that you're going to want to test for, it doesn't matter what it is, you want to interview more than one time. Yeah, I was also told that Rahmani had only been interviewed one time. She has not had any further interview, and that the narcotics detective that interviewed her felt that her story was plausible enough that she did not need another interview. Now, I'm not saying that this cannot possibly be what actually happened, because it very well might be. However, I would just like to know how Henrico County Police came to this conclusion based off of one interview. How can you call that a fair investigation? The fact that we have heard no other details in the involvement of the case, and it's been 5 months. Still don't have the toxicology report. They never did an autopsy. He never went to the ME's office. You know, there's too many holes and inconsistencies within the story, within everything that happened. Like the fact that I talked to Jay a couple weeks ago and he told me that the night that she told him about everything, like the night that it happened, she said that my brother grabbed her up in a way. Why the police don't know that? Why they didn't hear about that? Why did I not hear about that if that was the case? Not only that, remember how I told y'all I gave him money? Yeah, well, that money was nowhere found on him, and he wouldn't have spent it. He couldn't have spent it because of the simple fact he left our house and went straight to the hotel, pretty much. He wouldn't have spent that money. Not only that, but he wouldn't have spent it because his son needed it for daycare. Not only that, on top of that, his gun is also missing. Upon us cleaning out his closet and both his cars, his gun is also missing. And when we told the police that, they advised us to file a missing gun report, and a report is stolen. So you got a few details that could be a very big factor to the case, but yet they don't really care. Pretty much Henrico County is looking at it as it was two young adults who took some psychedelics and it went left, which that's very well plausible, and that very well could have been the case. But how are you sure based off of one interview with the individual the day after it happened while they still had the drugs in their system? That's what I want to know. My thing is, y'all need to look at it in a bigger light. The fact that it's somebody's son, somebody's father, brother, family member, and he was a good person, a good, genuine, kind-hearted person. He didn't deserve this. Not only that, but I want y'all to realize there was two people who went into that hotel room. Two people took them psychedelics, but only one person made it out alive. How? But y'all are willing to just close it up and call it an accident based off of one interview. I really hope that this spreads some awareness for some people, that y'all can really realize psychedelics is not something to mess around with. You know, whether or not he actually did jump out of the window, whether or not there was some type of argument and he was pushed, whether or not she even remembers what actually conspired, what actually happened. She could have easily pushed him and not remember it. Now, the only things, I don't know this girl. I don't know anything about her. I've never met her. I talked to her one time the week after this happened. Her name is Rahmani Shabazz. The only thing I know about her is that she is a registered nurse at Bon Secours St. Mary's Hospital, and she has a 12-year-old son. Anything could have happened. He could have been in fight or flight mode. I don't know. But I'm not going to stop until a further investigation is actually done, until it's taken seriously. I wanted this story to get out there. I want the world to know what's going on. Thank you.